Just got home a little bit ago, and we are supposed to actually get some cold weather coming through. There's a chance of snow. Yeah, it's the middle of April. So I brought my potatoes in. Luckily I can just pick these up right now and move them. So I brought them in. I have closed all the windows up tight, well, as tight as they can be. And hopefully everything in here will be okay. The tomato plants did not fare so well. Last time it got like down to 25. And I don't think it's supposed to stay like that. So I'm kind of watching what I've got on the plants. I'm hoping the wind doesn't blow everything off. Got a little bit of wind. So let's check this out. So we did cover up the asparagus. Got some lettuce in that one. And then there's the potatoes, but I think we're gonna leave the kohlrabi and the cabbage and see how it fares. I'm hoping it fares okay because I grew all of these from seed. So hopefully they're okay. I'm gonna look it up just to make sure, but it's only supposed to get down to 28 degrees and not stay that cold for that long, so hopefully everything will be okay. I am gonna look it up though real quick. Even covered, we've got some strawberries out there and a little bitty blueberry bush that I want to make sure that the blueberries, I don't know if it'll get cold enough. We'll see. Hopefully I'm not making mistakes. It's supposed to rain, so if the sheet gets wet, that may be worse than, I don't even know. I need to look that up. Probably should look that up. First we're going to grab the asparagus that I forgot when I picked the other day. Grabbed this milk jug, tried to make some cheese. It did not work, so I poured it out in my raised beds. So let's go over here to the herb bed. Sheets laying around help. So if you have extra sheets, you can cover stuff up. So we've got a nice chair here. So hopefully this will work. I just have some sage tucked in there that I want to protect. The bee balm and lemon balm I think will be okay, and the rosemary, the rosemary's been out all winter. So I think they'll be okay, but I just thought I'd cover them up just in case. So the barn doors are shut, all the animals fed. So we'll see how it turns out. So out here the next morning after got like snow and a little bit of ice, and I don't know, everything in here seems to be okay. It's actually still pretty chilly. It's like in the low 30s, but I'm hoping everything kind of stayed. It looks like the lowest it got in here was 36, so that's good. And then really the only evidence that we even got snow or ice are just a few places, and over on the pool deck it's still white. But other than that, and on some stuff over here I'll have to uncover. I've got some things covered here, but I left the more cold hardy plants, so hopefully those are okay and those fared. We'll see. The asparagus was covered up, and so was the lettuce and stuff. I'll get that uncovered today. The potatoes stayed covered, looks like. Looks like this all did okay. It's all pretty cold hardy stuff. And the kohlrabi and some of the cabbages, they look like they did pretty good. And all these little plants over here look good. I'm hoping they all do okay. It's supposed to get cooler tonight as well. So all these grew from seed. So hopefully all my little baby plants live and will grow now that it's going to be like in the 70s and up to 80 next week. Alright, so it is Thursday, hopefully the last day of the frosts. We had 2 cold nights in a row, and then it would get up in the 50s. So I've uncovered everything, and I just got done milking. So I come over here, uncovered everything. The strawberries, blueberries look good. This all looks good. The only thing I'll just have to wait and see is the potatoes. The leaves are kind of a little crunchy. So I'm going to let the sun warm that up and see what happens there. They were covered. And then I've got all my kohlrabi and my cabbage, some of it here. You can see the frost is on it, but I think it will be okay. It's pretty cold hardy. Let me show you these little kohlrabi. Are they not adorable? I love them. But over here I've got more cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and it looks fine. And I think Everything in the greenhouse is fine. I just brought my tomato plant, or my potatoes, in containers out. So they look pretty good too. So here's the potatoes in containers. I put them right underneath this drip ledge and the water will drip down in there. So I have 2 of those, actually 2 more containers in the greenhouse that I'm going to plant the rest of the potatoes in. And I have some out here in the raised bed. So I actually got quite a few potatoes this year. They were actually harder to find for me, but the asparagus did good. I had it covered up, and so I think everything else did good. I had some of my herbs covered up as well. All right, on the way back to the house, drop off some milk there for a minute. I'm going to show you the herbs that I did have covered up and that fared pretty good in the cold. So here's my rosemary. This is actually planted last year and it stayed alive. I have another one off of this one in the house that I've kept. I'll replant. But the lemon balm, the bee balm, the let's see, what have all I got in here? The oregano and thyme. I had to plant a new sage, but this was all covered up. I kept all this covered up, and then this is stuff coming up over here that I did not cover up. So I've got an echinacea, just a little hosta plant. This is some lilies, and I was hoping that some of my spilanthes plants would come up that I put the seed out for, but I don't see any of those. This is a pineapple sage that I don't think is actually coming back, which is kind of strange that it really should come back, but I don't know if it's going to. I'm gonna have to look at that. And then this is a variegated sage that did really well this winter. So you can see I got some weeds to pull and some mulch to put down because this is up around the house. But all in all, I think everything fared pretty well. I guess time will tell, and we'll see how well it does. I know some plants, like I've heard kale and stuff like that, actually is better when you plant it in the fall and then it actually frosts on it. So I'm going to be curious to see what this does with the frost this early and then it growing and, you know, and harvesting it later. So we'll see. My tomato plants and all my more tender plants that were still in the greenhouse did well. I closed the greenhouse up. I thought about taking them in because the last time it got way down into the 20s for a little while. I think it was longer of the night. They did not fare so well, but they're really coming back now. I've made sure to give them some little extra minerals and make sure to water them, and they're coming back. So they look much better than what they did after that really cold spell we got for a couple of days. So hopefully this is it. We're going to be in like the high 70s, near 80 next week. So I think the plants will probably just take off. So don't put your plants out too early, especially those tender plants. I'm glad I did not go ahead and put mine out without any covering. So here's to a great spring, summer garden. I'm excited. All right, so I just ran out to feed Hattie and check on Annabelle and the goats. And I thought I'd come by and check on the only really thing I think that the frost might have hurt, and it was the potato plants. So they were a little crunchy this morning from the frost, and it looks like there are a few like these here, and there's a few right here that the frost did get. But all in all, I think everything is okay. If I hadn't have covered these up, it probably would have been a total loss for these plants. It probably would have just killed everything, I'm gonna say. But they look good. I'll probably just pull off some of this dead stuff that the frost got to, that froze. I think some of them were sticking out, like right here. These were probably out of the cover a little bit, or maybe some of these were actually touching the top. You can tell that they were just froze, and they were touching the top, and it was kind of froze this morning. So, but I'm pretty pleased with how everything turned out. The cabbage and the kohlrabi did wonderful. The lettuce looks good. The mustard greens, that big red mustard, giant red mustard, is phenomenal. It like holds up to everything I'm thinking. So I'm gonna go water the beets, and then we're supposed to get a bunch of rain this weekend. So it looks like everything's coming along good.